All right, so get ready because today we're going all in on a total classic, a movie that just screams 80s teen life.
Oh, yeah.
It's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Are you guys ready to hang 10 with Spicoli and the crew?
Absolutely.
I am so stoked for this one.
This film is just such a fun blend of humor and like real teenage angst.
Yes.
And you know what? It kind of holds up even today.
It totally does.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think this one movie launched like a bazillion huge careers.
Yeah.
Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold. Are you telling me that they were all just hanging out like at the Ridgemont Mall food court together?
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's insane.
And you know, their performances are so real, so authentic. You
Yeah.
can practically smell the chlorine from the Ridgemont High pool and feel that California sun like right on your skin.
Oh, for sure.
It's like director Amy Heckerling just dropped us right into their world.
Yes. And speaking of heckling, I think it's important to note that like a woman directed this movie,
Yeah.
which was pretty rare for a teen comedy back then.
Yeah, back then, definitely.
And she really nails the female perspective, especially with Stacy and Linda.
Totally. She doesn't shy away from the realities of teenage girls' lives, the excitement of first dates to the anxieties around sex and relationships.
Exactly.
It's refreshing, especially considering how often teen movies just focus on the guy's point of view.
Yes.
For sure.
Okay, so let's like dive into some of these characters.
Okay.
We've got Stacey Hamilton and Linda Barrett, best friends, navigating the ups and downs of love and life while slinging pizzas at the mall.
Yeah, Stacy's that innocent, wide-eyed girl.
Yes.
We all knew her in high school. Eager to experience love, but maybe a little naive about the realities.
A little bit.
And then Linda, on the other hand.
Yes.
More experienced, more confident, almost like she's already lived a whole life before senior year even started.
Totally.
Totally.
And they both get caught up in this whirlwind of boys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So many boys.
I just can't forget about Mark Ratner,
Right.
who's crushing hard on Stacy from afar.
He's such a sweet, relatable character, just trying to figure out how to navigate the whole dating thing.
Rat is the heart of the movie.
I think so, too.
He's just trying to figure things out. He makes mistakes, but you're always rooting for him.
Always.
And his friendship with Mike Damone.
Oh, yes.
Talk about a study in contrast.
I know.
Yeah.
The moan. The self-proclaimed ladies' man with all the wisdom about women.
Yeah.
His advice to Rat, though,
Oh my God.
some of it's pretty cringeworthy looking back.
It definitely raises questions about how the film portrays male attitudes towards women.
Yes.
Damone's whole scoring system, his manipulation of Stacy, it reflects a certain mentality that thankfully is being challenged more and more these days.
It is, but you know what? Even with those like problematic elements,
Yeah.
I think the film ultimately shows us that Damone's way of thinking
Yeah,
leads to nothing but heartache.
right.
He ends up pretty lonely.
He does, yeah.
And in a way, he's even more naive than Rat when it comes to real relationships.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Damone puts on this facade of experience, but deep down,
Yeah.
he's just as insecure and clueless as anyone else.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he's learned everything he knows about women from bad magazines and cheesy movies.
Totally cheesy movie.
Totally.
And then we have Stacy's older brother, Brad.
Brad!
He starts the year as the king of Ridgemont High. Good-looking, popular, with a cool car and a job at the All-American Burger.
Yeah, he's got it all.
But things don't exactly go as planned for him.
Brad's journey is so fascinating because it challenges those stereotypical ideas of masculinity
Oh, yeah.
that were so prevalent in the 80s.
Yes.
He loses his job, his girlfriend, his car, everything that defined his status and, in a way, his identity.
Like a total fall from grace.
Yeah.
And it's kind of heartbreaking to see him go through it, but it's
Yeah.
also really funny.
Exactly. The film manages to find that perfect balance between humor and pathos.
Pathos, yeah.
It's like we're watching a real teenager's life unfold with all its awkwardness and uncertainty. Yeah.
And of course, we can't forget the one and only Jeff Spicoli. The ultimate surfer dude.
Oh, yes.
This guy lives by his own rules, much to the chagrin of his long-suffering history teacher, Mr. Hand.
Yeah, he really does.
Mr. Hand.
Spicoli is like a force of nature, crashing into the rigid structure of Ridgemont High and turning everything upside down.
Totally.
He's the embodiment of teenage rebellion, but there's also something endearing about his laid-back, carefree attitude.
Oh, yeah.
Like that don't worry, be happy kind of vibe.
Totally.
Yeah, and he's definitely a product of that Southern California surf culture, but he's also a unique character.
Yeah.
Spicoli's not just a stoner stereotype. He has this almost Zen-like philosophy about life.
It's true.
This ability to find joy in the simplest things, even when the world around him is chaotic.
Yes, and he's got that whole, like, go-with-the-flow attitude down pat.
Yeah.
And his clashes with Mr. Han
Oh my God.
are legendary.
Legendary.
Remember when he orders a pizza to class?
The pizza scene.
It's like watching a tennis match between two completely opposite personalities.
It's such a brilliant comedic pairing.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Hand, all uptight and by the book, trying to maintain control in his classroom.
Yes.
And Spicoli just nonchalantly disrupting everything with his laid-back antics.
The best.
The pizza scene is pure gold.
And speaking of gold, how about that scene where Spicoli, like, borrows Charles Jefferson's car
Oh, no.
and totally trashes it?
Oh, man.
I was cringing and laughing at the same time.
That Camaro scene is priceless.
Oh, yeah.
You can practically feel Jefferson's rage building as he surveys the damage.
Totally.
It's a testament to both actors' comedic timing.
Yes.
That they make that scene so hilarious without going over the top.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's the perfect example of how the film balances these serious themes with these laugh-out-loud moments.
Yeah.
It's not just a silly teen comedy.
Right.
It actually has something to say about the pressures of growing up, the awkwardness of relationships, the whole search for identity thing.
Absolutely. And those themes are explored through these really well-developed characters. We've got Stacy grappling with an unplanned pregnancy, Brad dealing with the fallout of his breakup and job loss, Rat trying to find the courage to talk to Stacy, and Damone learning that his manipulative tactics don't work in the real world.
Exactly. And it's like a lot more nuanced
Yeah.
than you might expect from a movie that features a dude surfing on his desk
Right.
in the middle of class.
Yeah.
And let's be real, some of those scenes are just iconic.
Oh, yeah.
Like Brad's daydream sequence set to the cars moving in stereo. I mean, come on, that's movie magic right there.
That scene is pure 80s nostalgia.
It is.
The slow motion Phoebe Cates emerging from the pool, Brad's wide-eyed stare.
It's so good.
It's also perfectly cheesy and delightful.
Yes.
It's no wonder it's been parodied and referenced countless times in pop culture.
It's the kind of scene that just gets burned into your memory.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes Fast Times so special. It's full of those little moments, those details that make it feel real and relatable.
Totally.
And unforgettable.
Yeah.
Remember the characters, the lines, the music?
For sure.
It just stays with you.
And I think part of that is because the film captures something essential about the teenage experience, regardless of what decade you grew up in.
Exactly.
The anxieties, the heartbreaks, the triumphs, they're all universal. You don't have to have lived through the 80s to relate to these characters and their journeys.
You're so right. And it's amazing how the film manages to be both specific to its time period and timeless in its themes.
Right.
It's a snapshot of 80s youth culture.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to something deeper.
For sure.
About the human condition.
Exactly. And I think that's why it continues to resonate with audiences today.
Yes.
We can watch it and laugh at the fashion, the music, the slang.
Totally.
But we also connect with the characters on a deeper level.
Yeah.
We see ourselves in their struggles, their joys, their mistakes.
There's a real honesty to the film.
Yes.
It doesn't shy away from the messiness of life.
Yeah.
The fact that sometimes things just go wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out how to pick yourself up and keep going.
Right.
And that's a message that's always going to be relevant.
Absolutely. And it's delivered with this perfect blend of humor and heart.
Yes.
The film never feels preachy or heavy-handed.
Right.
It's just observing these characters with a kind of affectionate curiosity, allowing us to draw our own conclusions.
Well, it's where you're eavesdropping on their lives, you know, sharing in their triumphs and their heartbreaks.
Totally.
And, of course, laughing along the way.
Oh, for sure.
Because, let's face it, Fast Times is a really funny movie.
It is.
The characters, the dialogue, the situations, it's all just so perfectly observed and hilarious.
It's definitely a comedy, but it's also so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's a film that's full of life energy and emotion.
Absolutely.
It captures that feeling of being young, of having the whole world ahead of you with all its possibilities and uncertainties.
It's a coming-of-age story that manages to be both hilarious and heartwarming.
Yeah.
Nostalgic and timeless.
Totally.
And that's a pretty impressive feat.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the talent of everyone involved, from the director to the actors to the writers.
Oh, yeah.
They created something truly special.
They did.
A film that continues to entertain and resonate with audiences decades later.
Okay, so we've talked about the characters, the themes, the humor, the iconic scenes.
Yeah.
But what about the film's legacy?
Right.
How has Fast Times influenced pop culture and filmmaking?
Well, for one thing, it launched the careers of some of the biggest names in Hollywood.
It really did.
Sean Penn's performance as Spicoli is legendary.
Oh, yeah.
It established him as a serious actor
Right.
and paved the way for his incredible career.
Think about Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh, yeah.
She was just 19 when she played Stacy.
Wow.
And she absolutely nailed the role.
Yeah.
It's such a nuanced and complex performance.
Right.
She's funny, vulnerable, heartbreaking.
Totally.
It's amazing to think that was her breakout role.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah,
And you can't forget about Judge Reinhold and Phoebe Cates.
right.
They both went on to have successful careers, thanks in part to the recognition they received from Fast Times.
And the film also had a huge impact on the teen comedy genre.
For sure.
It set the standard for realistic and relatable portrayals of adolescence,
Yeah.
moving away from the more sanitized and unrealistic depictions that were common in earlier teen films.
Totally.
Yeah, and it paved the way for films like The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, Say Anything,
Right.
which all explored the complexities of teenage life with a similar blend of humor and heart.
And its influence can be seen in more recent teen comedies as well.
Oh, yeah.
Films like Superbad and Booksmart owe a debt to Fast Times in terms of their frank and funny portrayals of adolescence.
It's amazing to think that a film made over 40 years ago
I know.
is still having such a profound impact on filmmaking today.
It's incredible.
It speaks to the power of Fast Times as a cultural touchstone.
Right.
A film that continues to resonate with audiences across generations. I mean, it really, Fast Times is like a cultural phenomenon.
It is.
You've got the catchphrases, the soundtrack, the fashion.
Yeah.
They become part of like our collective consciousness.
Totally. I mean, who hasn't quoted Spicoli's Aloha, Mr. Hand at least once in their life?
At least once.
And the soundtrack is basically a greatest hits collection of early 80s rock.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
It's the perfect time capsule of that era.
Yeah.
And it's funny how even the fashion, which might seem a little dated now,
Right.
still has this like cool retro vibe.
Oh, it's definitely come back around in a big way.
Oh, for sure.
See those high-waisted jeans and bomber jackets everywhere these days?
Everywhere.
Like Fast Times is still influencing style trends decades later.
Yeah, it's crazy. But beyond the pop culture impact, I think the film's real legacy is its honest and unflinching portrayal of like teenage life.
Yeah.
It didn't shy away from the awkwardness, the anxieties, the mistakes. It embraced the messiness of growing up.
Exactly. And it presented those experiences with a real sense of empathy and humor.
Yes.
It didn't judge these characters, it just observed them,
Right.
allowing us to laugh with them and learn from their experiences.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so relatable even all these years later.
Totally.
Whether you're a teenager now or you were a teenager back in the 80s,
Yeah.
you can watch Fast Times.
Yes.
And see yourself reflected in those characters.
It's a reminder that the challenges of growing up are universal.
Yes.
We all go through those awkward phases, those heartbreaks, those moments of self-discovery.
For sure.
And it's comforting to know that we're not alone in those experiences.
100%.
Right.
There's something really special about a film that can connect with people on such a deep level across generations.
It's the mark of a true classic.
Yeah.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High is a film that continues to entertain, inspire, and provoke conversation.
It does.
It's a timeless story that will always have something to say about the human condition.
So as we're wrapping up our deep dive into Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
If this film were made today, do you think it would have the same impact?
That's a great question. It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but I think the core themes of the film, adolescence, friendship, love, heartbreak, finding your place in the world,
Right.
they would still resonate with audiences today.
They're timeless.
Exactly. Those experiences are part of what it means to be human.
Of course, certain aspects of the film would have to be updated to reflect modern sensibilities.
Right.
But the heart of the story, I think, would remain just as powerful.
I think so too.
It's a reminder that great storytelling can transcend time and place.
Yes.
And Fast Times at Ridgemont High is definitely a great story told with heart and a whole lot of 80s charm.
And a whole lot of 80s charm.
Well, we've had a blast taking this deep dive with you.
Oh, we have.
And now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Right.
Did it resonate with you?
Yeah.
What are your favorite scenes?
Yes.
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into classic and contemporary films.
We'll catch you on the flip side.